It's Friday, April 10th, 2026, and today is National Siblings Day, which feels like one of those relationships that doesn't really require explanation, but also doesn't come with instructions. Welcome to This Day in History from Wait, That's Random. I'm your host, C.L. Burns. Today in 1912, the RMS Titanic set sail from Southampton on its first voyage. I'm sure you've all seen the movie. We all know how it ends. At the time, it was one of the largest and most advanced ships ever built. It was designed to be safe, reliable, modern. And in many ways it was. The Titanic included advanced safety features for its time. Watertight compartments, electrical systems, and engineering meant to reduce risk. But there's a detail that stands out. It didn't carry enough lifeboats for everyone on board. Not because they didn't think about safety, but because of how safety was understood. Regulations at the time were based on tonnage, not total passenger capacity. The assumption wasn't that the ship would need to fully evacuate. The assumption was that lifeboats would ferry passengers to nearby ships. It was a design based on expectation. Systems are built around what people believe will happen, not necessarily what could happen. And when those assumptions were wrong, the system didn't hold. And sometimes systems don't fail. They define how people see things in the first place. On April 10, 1925, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald was published. At the time, it wasn't immediately recognized as a defining work, but over time it became one of the most widely read and studied novels in American literature. The story focuses on perception, image, the idea of constructing a version of reality that others will believe. Gatsby himself is built on that idea, a person shaped by presentation, by what others see. It's about narrative. The way a story is framed changes how it's understood. And once a narrative takes hold, it can shape how people interpret everything around it. What's interesting is the book didn't become iconic right away. Its meaning and its importance grew over time, which suggests that impact isn't always immediate. Sometimes it builds. And sometimes something that feels permanent ends. Today, in 1970, Paul McCartney publicly announced the breakup of the Beatles. At that point, the band had already been moving in different directions. Creative differences, business disagreements, individual projects. The structure was still there, but it wasn't holding in the same way. And then it ended. Sometimes separation happens over time. Things don't always break all at once. Sometimes they shift gradually, until the moment where someone finally says it out loud. And once that happens, it becomes real. The Beatles didn't just stop making music. They marked the end of something that had defined an era. And even though the music remained, the structure that created it was gone. And while some people shape culture through music or storytelling, others shape how information itself is heard. Joseph Pulitzer was born on April 10, 1847. He became a newspaper publisher and is known for shaping modern journalism. He emphasized investigative reporting, public accountability, and the idea that information should serve the public, which feels like something we need to get back to. The Pulitzer Prize, established in his name, continues that focus. It's about influence through information. What gets reported, what gets emphasized, and how it's presented. Because information doesn't just reflect reality. It helps define it. If you step back and look at these moments together, something starts to connect. The system is built on assumptions that don't hold. A story grows into something larger over time. And something widely recognized comes to an end. Different moments, different outcomes. But each one shows how systems, whether physical, narrative, or cultural, don't always behave the way people expect them to. Sometimes they fail. Sometimes they grow. And sometimes they simply stop. Anyway, those are a few of the things I ended up discovering while wandering through April 10th. Stop by tomorrow and we'll see what the next date decides to serve up next. If you want to know more about me or the work I do, you can find everything at waitthat'srandom.com. I'm C.L. Burns, and I appreciate you stopping by.